Plague Marines of the 23rd Assault Company have made entry into the Imperial ship Wrath of Calth. Naval armsmen rush to their positions and stand by to repel boarders. Will the armsmen successfully defend their ship, or will the heralds of the plague continue to spread Mortarian's gifts in the name of Nurgle into the 500 worlds?
So taking the Plague Marine team here, love this team. It's like extremely slow, methodical, got a lot of rerolls, and also just really punishes the enemy for giving him ground. These are the operatives I'm taking. I'm leaving out the warriors, which are basically just kind of a beefed up bolter and a plague knife, but otherwise, feel like these guys are very well suited for this map. So the Navy Breachers were actually created for the Gallowdark series. So this is literally resembling their ship or ship conditions in the void. These guys specialize in holding ground, making entry, moving around the map a little bit easier, and really using the terrain to their advantage in closed proximity. So here, pretty much just taking the entire roster that I can based off the models that came with the box. A total of 11 operatives, but the cat unit and the guy skull count for half a selection each. So it should be a good game.
First kill team battle report of the channel, possibly the only one, we'll see. Today we're playing Mission 1.1 Command Station Control from the Gallowdark Into the Dark 2nd edition book. Mission critical op number 1, secure. So essentially operatives will have to control objective markers like the one below. They're sticky objective markers, so once they secure them, they hold them until the enemy secures them back, and then they continue fighting them over to them like that. For this mission set, we're keeping it super simple. Death Guard are taking all of their faction equipment, so Plague Bells allows them to ignore move stat when injured. Blood Grenades, just an extra funky grenade. Plague Rounds gives them poison and severe on bolt weapons, and poison vents that I'll just cover as it happens. Navy Breachers will be taking slugs, combat stims, which also ignore movement stats from injury. System override device, so once per turning point they get to open a hatch for 1 less AP, in this case for free, and they'll take 2 stun grenades just to keep things interesting. Otherwise, no physical terrain objectives on this map. Navy Breachers have won the setup initiative, so they're going to go ahead and keep it and set up their defenses as they try to repel boarders. Alright, so Navy Breachers are set up. They're going to try and take kind of a offensive, defensive approach in certain sectors while pushing in others. The Death Guard going for a similar approach where the champion over there is probably just going to go off and try to do some damage on his own and really just hold that home objective for them. Alright, so Death Guard won the initiative roll for Turning Point 1. They're going to hand it off to the Navy Breachers. In return, they're going to get a card to re-roll initiative in the future. Like most Turning Point 1s, this is just both teams going to be getting into a position for follow-on turning points where it's going to get bloody. So this is actually a pretty cool mechanic with the Navy Breachers that I seldom get to use because I even seldom play this team. But they have this neat faction ability called Breach and Clear. So I've pre-measured this, but basically I'm going to take my hatch cutter. He's going to move over to this portion of the wall. He's going to cut into the wall to create a breach point. And according to the faction rule, as long as there's another operative within 3 inches of that hatch cutter and visible to, I can then activate a second operative. So I'm going to switch him from concealed to expended. You can activate a second operative right away, and I've pre-measured this, so I'm going to take the axe jack, and he's going to move through that breach point to the other side, closer to the Navy Breachers' home objectives, and then he has been expended. So really just showing the versatility of the Navy Breachers' ability to move around. That's some fairly aggressive breaching, moving up into the kill zone in some sectors while staying conservative in others. This type of force split for the Breachers can get pretty risky considering they are squishy and pretty weak, but the Death Guard are also a little bit slower and fewer in numbers, so, and both teams kind of have established in areas where they can push out from there and kind of react to how the other kill team is reacting, but it should make for a fun and bloody Turning Point 2. So 2 5s on initiative roll for Turning Point 2 this time. Death Guard do break ties since they didn't have initiative last time, and they are are going to give it off to the Navy Breachers. Alright, so the Navy Breachers are going to pay 1 CP for attack order in the strategy phase. At this point, anytime they are shooting, fighting, or retaliating within 3 inches of this marker right here, their weapons rules will have the ceaseless weapon rule. Chose to purchase close assault, so anytime a friendly breacher operative is fighting or shooting an operative within 3 inches of it, I get a boost to damage stats and profiles of the shotgun or heavy shotgun. And then if I roll 2 or more fails, I can discard one of them to retain another as a normal success. Perils of the Plague. The Death Guard have chosen to go with Lumbering Death. So anytime a friendly Plague Marine operative is shooting or fighting during activation, in which it hasn't moved more than 3 inches, or whether it's retaliating, it also gets the weapon ceaseless weapon rule. So, alright, with that, let's get into the first activation of Turning Point 2. Alright, so for the first activation, my cat unit here is going to spend 1 AP to spot the Death Guard Bombardier all the way in the distance over there. You can see his leg jutting out. That's going to give any of my Navy Breachers shooting him Seek Light, and he also cannot be obscured. Kind of a throwaway activation by the Navy Breachers there. With that, my Plague Marine Icon Bearer is going to move up. Navy Breachers, my Armsman, is going to move, secure that objective. Going to get provocative here. My Plague Marine Fighter is going to move and dash, open the hatch, while staying on concealed. Navis Voidjammer is going to move over here and open this hatch with his second action point. Expended there. So feeling emboldened by the gifts of the Plague God, the Plague Caster is going to move over here, staying in cover. Secure the central objective. Sensing a bait on the central objective, the Navy Breacher is going to move up one of their armsmen as they set up to take on and disrupt the Death Guard's home objective. Feeling like they need to get something done here, the Surveyor is going to move and dash closer to this dynamo in vicinity of that Plague Caster, just to get closer to get in position to better contest that objective. Alright, so to try to keep momentum, the Plague Champion is going to go on engage, and he is going to move, do a normal move here. He is going to secure the objective here, and then he's going to go on guard. Guard basically means that next person to make themselves an available target coming through this area gets blown smooth through the face with a plasma pistol. Alright, so wising up to what's going on, the Navis Gunner is going to do the same thing. He's going to go on engage. He's just going to move a little bit up here and also go on guard. So setting conditions for the Navy Breachers, the Void Jammer is going to take his Geist Skull and order to move up ever so, staying concealed. Feeling the need to be less slow and methodical and more aggressive, the Bombardier is going to move and dash up to this broken pipe and then switch to an engage order to go on guard. Alright, so the Endurance Guard activation is going to be activated now, and we'll go to the dice table. So 4 dice, hitting on 4s, 5, 6, supercharging this, hot, lethal 5 up, piercing 1. Alright, so 2 crits and a normal. Plague Marine is, alright, so gonna retain 1 for cover, piercing 1, minus 1 dice defense to Plague Marines. Alright, so that's a normal save. Yeah, this kind of sucks. The Plague Marine's just gonna have to block out critical at this point, leaving a crit and a normal on the table. So now he's gonna roll for his disgustingly resilient rolls. On a 4 up, he reduces it by 1 damage. Alright, so that's 2. Alright, so from 6-5 damage, that is now 5-4 damage. So he takes 9 total wounds. So Plague Marine is sitting at 5 wounds now. So in turn, the Bombardier is actually going to use his bolt gun to shoot back at the Navis Gunner. So even though he's injured, because of Plague Bells, he actually does not have any modifiers to his shooting stat. So because of faction equipment Plague Bells, he actually has no modifiers to his shooting stat despite being injured. So 4 dice hitting on 3s, 3-4 damage. An excellent roll. Navis Gunner is going to retain 1 for cover, and he saves 2 other normals. So really no choice here. He's going to block a normal and then another crit, and that's going to be 8 damage total. With that, the Navis Gunner goes down to 1 HP, and he also gains a poison token from the plague rounds used by the Bombardier. So next time this operative is activated, he will lose 1 wound due to the poison token, which will essentially lead to his death because he only has 1 HP. Alright, so one thing I forgot to do is do a hot roll for the Navis Gunner plasma. And he does not save it. So 2 times 2, he actually dies on 4 wounds. So unfortunately, I don't get it. The Plague Marines don't get a TAC op point for that, but they do get to get on the scoreboard for the kill op. So probably not the wisest move, but we're trying to defend the ship here. The Grenadier is then going to move up right here. He's going to switch to engage, and he is going to throw a crack grenade at the Bombardier. Grenadier against Grenadier. Alright, so he's going to throw a crack grenade. Being a Grenadier, he improves his hit stat by 1. Absolute donut of a roll, but because he's within 3 inches of this attack order marker, he gains a ceaseless roll, so he's going to re-roll these 2 ones. So that's 4 normal hits. So because of the saturate weapons rule and piercing 1, I don't get, the Plague Marine doesn't get a retained cover, and he only has 2 defense dice. So 2 regular blocks, this guy's dead. So the Plague Bombardier gets removed from the kill zone. So this brave Navis Grenadier has put the team on the map for the kill op, but he is now woefully exposed in the middle. Really trying to avoid the ugliness that's about to ensue in this area. We're going to take our Sergeant at Arms right here, and she's going to move through the door, move a dash up to this dynamo here. So Sergeant at Arms moves up on the central objective to help kind of contest it. We already got 2 Navis Breachers contesting the central objective, but we just don't have anybody to secure it yet. Alright, so the Plague Marines don't really see any threat in the central objective area, so this gunner is going to move 4 inches, sacrificing 1 inch, moving through the door. So moving up there, he is now going to use his Plague Spewer against that Grenadier. Alright, so 5 hitting on 2s, 3-3, Saturate, Severe, Torrent 2, Poison. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this kill. A pretty good roll, but still missing 2 dice, so kind of not the best, but mediocre. But we got CP to spare, so I'm going to re-roll 1 for CP into a crit. Alright, so because of the faction equipment rule, he doesn't get any cover saves, but he does get to potentially re-roll 2 of his defense dice. So re-rolling 2. So saving a normal and a crit, this Grenadier takes 6 damage total. So the Grenadier goes down to 2 wounds, and the Gunner is going to switch to Guard, specifically using his bolt pistol. This Grenadier also gains a poison token, so he loses 1 wound on his next activation. Alright, so now that we've carried out the danger effects in most areas, the Endurant here is going to move up behind the Geist Skull, and he is just going to stay concealed, not activating the Champion's Guard. Alright, so now the Breachers are kind of forced to take care of their home objective a little bit more. The Hatch Cutter is going to go from here, pre-measured, move all the way up to this hatch over here. Mind you, in covering those 2 Plague Marines within engagement range should they cross through the threshold. Alright, so we've got a counteract opportunity here, so that Plague Gunner is going to use his bolt pistol to shoot the Navis Grenadier. Alright, so bolt pistol, 4 hits, hitting on 3s, 3-4. Absolute dog water roll. And the Grenadier blocks it all. Alright, so last activation of the turning point is going to be the Axe Jack. He's going to wade in and he is going to fight that fighter. All right, so with the measurement, he does not in fact have combat support on this one. 4 hitting on 3s, 4/6, lethal 5-up damage. Excellent roll. Let's see what the fighter comes up with. Marine fighter is going to be hitting on 5 attacks, 3-up, 4/5. Brutal, severe, shock, and poison. All right, so absolutely dog water roll here, but I can upgrade this one to a crit, and I'm gonna re-roll 1 right now. All right, so that's an extra hit, and then I'm gonna re-roll another one, and yet another normal. So Axe Jack goes first, and he's gonna parry out this crit. The fighter's gonna go next and land 4 damage on him. The Axe Jack is gonna parry out the normal with a normal. And with no other dice to save, the Axe Jack is going to sink in 12 damage on the fighter. So the fighter is going to be left with 2 HP, and the fighter with 4 wounds. All right, so that's pretty much the end of Turning Point 2. We'll go to scoreboard after this.
Getting some movement, got 1 objective on the map for Kill Op with the Plague Marines, and 2 other objectives also getting on the map for Kill Op. Nobody scored attack ops so far. And both teams are down to 1 command point.
All right, so Turning Point 3, the Navis Imperial Breachers win initiative. They're going to keep it, and they are going to purchase attack order, close assault. They're going to move their close assault token right on that hatchway right there. The Death Guard are going to take on Lumbering Death, Contagion, and Nurglings. So as a result of Nurglings, the Sergeant at Arms is actually going to receive 1 less action point for this turn. Navy Breachers sitting at 2 CP, and the Plague Marines sitting at 1 CP. Alright, so to start with the Turning Point, the Axe Jack is going to attack the fighter right there. He only needs 1 hit. He gets the kill. The fighter is removed from the table. Alright, so my Plague Marine Icon Bearer is going to charge in and fight the Navis Axe Jack. Alright, so 5 attacks, hitting on 3, 3/4, severe poison. I don't even have to really can it out. The Axe Jack is killed, putting the Plague Marines on the Kill Op scoreboard. The Plague Icon Bearer also reveals the Dominate Tac Op and gains a Seek and Destroy token. With his lax activation, he's actually going to pull out his bolt pistol, and he's going to shoot that hatch cutter. Alright, so Plague Marine Icon Bearer using his bolt pistol, 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3/4 damage. He does have Lumbering, so he gets Ceaseless and Playgrounds. So Severe updates this to a crit, and I get to reroll 2 of the 2s. The hatch cutter does not get covered because it's within 2 inches. He blocks everything. Alright, so that was an absolute shit response. Hatch cutter is then gonna charge in and fight the Plague Marine Icon Bearer. Alright, so 4 attacks, hitting on 4 ups, 5/6, brutal, and rending. Because of Ceaseless rule, I'm gonna re-roll in the attack order. Boom. So my mistake, because this operative is within 3 inches of my Icon Bearer, he actually hits worse on 1, so he has to get a 5-up on hits. So because of that, he loses 1 hit. So now the Plague Marine, alright, so rending, he gets a crit. Alright, so first things he's going to do, he's going to sink in 6 damage into me. I'm going to parry out his other crit, and I'm going to sink in 9 damage into him, killing him. Alright, so the hatch cutter is dead, and the Icon Bearer is down to 8 wounds. Alright, so this Navis Armsman is going to move up here within 2 inches, go on engage, and shoot the Icon Bearer. Alright, so the Navis Armsman's got a super big buff at close range. So 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 4/4 damage, range 6, and he is absolutely giving it to that icon bearer. So he does get a ceaseless reroll. So not retaining any cover. Icon bearer is saving. He's gonna save a crit and a normal. So he's gonna take 4 normal, 4 damage, but he's gonna roll for his disgustingly resilient. He does not get it. And I do have to mention that I have to re-roll for that disgustingly resilient from that melee combat where the hatch cutter got a hit on him. He does not get that either. So icon bearer goes from 8 to 4 wounds remaining. So from here, going back to the central objective, the Plaguecaster is going to switch to engage, and then he's going to charge into this Grenadier, and he's going to fight him. So Corrupted Staff, 4 hitting on 3s, 3-4 psychic, severe, shock, stun, poison, whatever. All he really needs is 1 solid hit. He gets the kill, so I take the Grenadier off the board. And the next thing the Plaguecaster is going to use is Plague Wind. He gets a Dominate token for that 1 kill. So first thing we're going to do is attack the Sergeant at Arms. So 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, 2-3. Psychic, Saturate, Severe, Torrent 1, and Poison. So I don't get Ceaseless for Lumbering Death, but I'm going to re-roll anyway. Fuck. Alright, so not a solid defense roll. 2 crits end up going through. So Sergeant goes down to 3 wounds. And mind you, she's still minus 1 APL for this turning point. Alright, so time to, because of Torrent, and he's an active target and viable, we're gonna Plague Wind against him as well. 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, 2-3, Saturate, Severe, Torrent 1, and Poison. Not the best roll. I'm gonna re-roll for 1 CP here. 4 normal hits. Death Guard are at 0 CP now. Armson rolls his saves on a 4-up. He saves 2 of them. So 2 of them go away. So Armson goes down to 4 wounds. The Sergeant gets a poison token, an injure token, and goes down to 3 wounds. So the Sergeant at this point is just going to move up, and she's going to get within combat range of the Plaguecaster, but also contest the objective. So the Sergeant has locked up the Plaguecaster in combat, while the Armsman is still available for activation. Alright, so the Champion is going to activate. He's going to charge into that doorway and conduct a hatchway fight. Fucking boom. Alright, so Champion is using his Plague Sword, 5 hitting on 3s, 4-5 damage, severe, poison, and toxic. Too easy, I get the kill on the Guy Skull. Guy Skull is removed. Next, I fight the Void Jammer. 5 attacks hitting on 3 up, 4-5, severe, poison, toxic. Void Jammer responding with his Navis Hatchet. 3 attacks hitting on 4s, 3-4 damage. Champion is going to hit him for 5. The Void Jammer is going to hit him for 3. Going to parry out that last one. And then going to sink the remaining 8 damage in. Alright, so Void Jammer is going to get removed. Champion is going to go down 12 wounds and gain a Dominate token. Seeing his comrade absolutely sliced in half, the Endurant is going to switch to engage order, and he is going to unload some slugs into that Champion. Alright, so he's got 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3-3, relentless. So I'm just going to re-roll this dice.
Alright, so I don't know why I wasn't talking during this one, but basically rolled, the Navis Endurant rolled 4 normals. I saved, the Plague Marine saved with 1 normal. Now there's 3 normals remaining, and this should be my disgustingly resilient roll coming up. There it is. He only reduces one of those dice down by 1 damage.
So Champion is now at 4 wounds remaining. Alright, so I'm going to activate this other Armson here, and we're going to conduct a breach and clear. So this armsman is going to move up, and he's going to shoot the plague champion point blank. All right, so Navis Armsman rolls 2 criticals and a fail, and the champion actually saves with 2 criticals and a fail as well. So it blocks everything out. Their last CP, the Navy Breacher is going to re-roll for a normal. So with that, Plague Marine's champion's going to roll for his Disgustingly Resilient. He gets it. So that damage is reduced from 4 to 3. So Plague Marine champion survives on 1 wound. Navy Breachers could not quite get the kill. Alright, so last activation of this turning point, Plague Marine Gunner is going to move over to here, and he's going to spew his Plague Spewer onto that Surveyor. So 5 attacks hitting on 2, 3 damage, Saturate, Severe, Torrent 2, and Poison. He gets the kill, I'm pretty sure. Ceaseless reroll. Yeah, based on the damage stats, I don't even think this Armsman can save it. 4 up, not a shot. And this Armsman dissolves in the most grotesque way possible, in turning into a absolute sludge of matter, while the Gunner gains a Dominate token. The Navy Breachers are going to reveal Martyrs as a result of that Navis Armsman dying. So basically, anytime a friendly operative is incapacitated while contesting an objective marker, at the end of that turning point, after the first, if friendly operatives contest an objective marker, I get one of my Martyr tokens. I can remove one of those tokens and gain some VP, but I don't think it's going to happen in this case. One of the last activations of this turning point, that Cat unit is going to observe the Plague Marine Gunner. Alright, so that's the
Yeah, so the Navy Breachers
turning
really
point
struggling
3.
to hold ground here, losing too many guys, just not able to pepper down the extremely resilient Death Guard Plague Marines. Meanwhile, the Plague Marines are advancing slowly but surely and dominating across all the operations.
Alright, so this is the map going into turning point 4. Alright, so Plague Marines are going to win initiative for this turning point. They're going to start off, they're going to keep initiative, and they're going to choose Lumbering Death for their only CP. The Navy Breachers are going to take 1 CP for Attack Order and Close Assault. Alright, so to make sure something happens here, we gotta activate the Plague Marine Champion first. Alright, so to try to make the most of his activation, the Plague Marine Champion is going to standard charge his Plasma Pistol into that Navis Armsman. Because of Plague Bells, he's not considered injured for any of this. 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3/5 damage, piercing 1. Pretty excellent roll here. So because of piercing 1, we'll get one less dice for defense for the Armsman. So it blocks out 2 normals, but the Armsman is going to take a full 8 damage on that. Alright, so with that, the Armsman is going to get removed. Now that the champion's got the APL advantage on the door, he's going to go ahead and close it. The Plague Marine champion is going to move just outside of cover range of this piece of pipe right here, so that he's obscured. Alright, so an activation from the remaining Armsman, he's going to pull out his shotgun and he's going to try to finish off that Icon Bearer, protecting his home objective. Alright, so 4 attacks hitting on 3s, 3 damage. Gotta throw the other one in there. Alright, defense rolls for the Plague Marine. Yeah, the math doesn't really matter here. He's gonna die. Disgustingly Resilient rolls aside, he would still, he wouldn't be able to reduce it enough. With nothing else to do, he's just gonna pass for the remainder of his activation. The Navy Breachers are really taking a hit and a beating here. I don't think they're going to be able to defend this part of the ship against this particular boarding party. Hopefully other defenses have better success. The Playcaster is just going to go ahead and he's going to bonk that sergeant with his staff. Alright, so 4 attacks hitting on 3s. I really just need a 1 normal hit here. He gets the kill. So the sergeant is killed, and the Playcaster gets a Dominate token. I did forget, for his kill, the champion also gets a Dominate token. Really, with nothing else to do, the Cat unit is just gonna spot the Bombardier and the Plague Spear Heavy Gunner and pass. With nothing really else to do, the Gunner is gonna move and dash within target range of that Cat unit, not quite combat range. Alright, so there's really no need to show the dice roll. The cat unit is absolutely turned into sludge, and that's going to end his activation. Alright, with nothing really left to do, this Endurant is going to go ahead and open that door. I'm not sure what I was trying to do here. That Endurant can't even see the Plague Marine through this portion of the wall right here. So he's just going to do the only thing he really can do is kind of just go through and get into that sector, but that's kind of going to be it. That's game. Alright, so that's pretty much game. This is how I've been keeping track of all the scores. It's a pretty one-sided victory for the Plague Marines, but keeping things simple, I used the kill op as the secret primary op, whatever it's called. So that gives just a half up bonus, rounded up to the nearest half for that team. The Navy Breachers got absolutely overrun in this sector. It doesn't cripple the rest of the ship, but hopefully other Breacher teams are defending their sector successfully as the Plague Marines continue their onslaught.
The inexorable advance of the Plague Marines has left the majority of the Navy Breachers turned into biological slag as the madness, decay, and filth spread in this sector. The desperate Breachers retreat in a panic to another sector, praying to the Emperor for protection.